What is good, y'all? Welcome back. My name is Princess, aka Princetta, and today we are going to be reacting to You, all the things that we missed, the ending explained, and everything like that. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe before we get into this video. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's not waste no time.
Now, season 2 followed Joe, or rather Will, as he stalked Love, played by Victoria Pedretti. Though she seemed really sweet and innocent, and the kind of person you'd never suspect could be the bent neck lady, there was a darker side to her.
Oh, shit.
Love was as obsessed with Joe as Joe was with her, and she ended up killing Candace and Delilah because they were obstacles in the way for her to get to him.
Ooh,
Love wanted a perfect family more than anything, and it seemed like she ended up getting it in the end as the pair settled down in the suburbs. It was very much a fresh start for them, and it also offered her the opportunity to move on from the death of her brother, Won't Make It to 40. Pregnant with her own potential psychopath, it seemed like somewhat of a happy ending, but Joe ended up going back to his old ways once he spotted his next You through the fence at his home. Not You. Now that pretty much takes us into season 3, and though Joe sparks up somewhat of a romance with the neighbour Natalie, it's very short-lived and Love kills her. For the last 2 years I'd been theorising that there'd be a season of stalking in which Love would eventually uncover it all, but by the end of episode 1, Natalie goes down worse and when you watch season 2 again and Chris D'Elia comes on screen. Yikes. Now this starts a brutal game of the couple attempting to cover up the crime, pin it on everyone they can, and also deal with each other's psychotic personalities. There's always been a dark sense of humour to You, and early on I found it hilarious how Joe was sure he was going to have a daughter, and then a son popped out instead.
Right.
Joe isn't exactly the kind of man you want your kids to be like, and the sensual psychopath wrestles with how he wants to raise his child. He of course came to the suburbs wanting to paint himself out as the perfect person, and the series as a whole very much carries with it the idea that everyone has a shadow self. Much in the same way that Love revealed hers in the second season, we see as almost all of the characters have a darker side to them that they hide from the world. Whether it's Love and Joe being serial killers, Dottie's drinking, Gil being the kind of guy that tells you to do your own research, the mystery surrounding Matthew, or Sherry's proposition to Joe and Love about opening up their marriage, everyone is presenting something to the world whilst hiding the truth of what's really going on. Nowhere is this shown more than in Marianne and her ex, the latter of whom is a public figure who presents a positive image to the world, but really he's a high-functioning drug addict that abuses her. Marianne is played by Tati Gabrielle, who you might recognise from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and she brings a whole new level to the show. Much like Joe, she came up through the foster system, and the two find common ground not only in their love of books, but also because they want their children to be better people than they are. They also have toxic partners, and it's not too long before Joe is completely obsessed with her. Love has her own love interest too, and she ends up having a will they won't they relationship with the neighbour's teenager.
This is why I didn't get.
I feel like the show is very much a comment on how relationships
he's
work.
A baby. Like,
and
how
though
can you be
things are
attracted to
taken
a
to
baby?
the extreme, there are however, the world can be a tempting place, and the show very much tackles the idea of whether the grass is greener on the other side. It never actually is, and though Joe and Love become somewhat bored with one another, they're very much a team that are indeed soulmates due to their personalities being identical. When you meet someone else, it can feel new and exciting, but eventually those feelings will fade and you'll be back to where you were. Thus, it's better to focus on what you have and make it into something special. I think the show very much hammers home the idea about growing your own grass to make it as green as it can be. I feel like I'm giving marriage advice here, but it's nice that the show tackles these themes and wraps them in a thriller. Now, whilst most couples have skeletons in the closet, these have literal ones, and slowly their masks start to slip and people's true feelings come to the surface. Dottie at one point accuses Love of murdering her last husband James, and this was a fan theory that was floating around when season 2 was released. We'll talk about whether it ties into the end later on or not, but it's very important to bear in mind. Now, after Sherry's proposition, Love starts to wonder whether they should try polygamy. Whilst it's initially put in place to bring Love and Joe together, it allows the latter to start his plan to be with Marianne. In the series, it's said that his type is pretty much a sheep that's attracted to wolves, and she becomes somewhat the person that he must save and fix, much like Beck and Love. This was of course mirrored in his mother, who stuck with someone abusive, which led to Joe going into the foster system after his violent streak was born. This idea of an abusive husband/partner is of course reflected in Marianne, who pretty much has her future ruined when her ex Ryan carries out revenge porn. He sends nudes to everyone in her contacts list, and the way that abuse is now carried out has of course evolved with technology. It's now possible to ruin someone when they're not even with you, and Marianne becomes a motherly figure that he must once more save. Throughout his life there's been things like his mother, the nurse at the foster home, and now her who all fit this archetype, convincing him that the latter is his true soulmate. Joe's darker side starts to get brought to the forefront once Matthew's operation unearths him losing his temper and punching a wall. Though Gil was framed for the murder of Natalie, Matthew just doesn't buy it, and he becomes somewhat of a stalker too, as he hacks all of the security cameras in the city to spy on the citizens. His son Theo also becomes obsessed with looking over the evidence they've collected, and it leads to a shocking revelation that we'll talk about later on. Now, I love this idea of everyone watching everyone, and it of course leads to secrets being exposed. During their polygamous hookup with the Conrads, Love has an outburst that reveals to them she killed Natalie, and we kinda head into the U formula where people are trapped inside a cage that know the secrets. Where things change though is now Love is solely in charge of looking after the pair, and Joe goes after Ryan to end Marianne's misery. It leads to the latter part of the season being much better than the middle, which leads to him being left on death's door. He confesses to Joe about his and Love's relationship, and she overhears the story behind Ryan's death and puts two and two together. The season kinda comes to its logical conclusion, with somewhat of a Love versus Joe finale that very much decides their futures. Now, whilst the couple have pretty much shared their murderous streaks and infidelity, here we see the major difference between the two. Theo told Love that the pair should run away together, and she turned him down, whereas Joe clearly wanted to leave with Marianne. It leads to a last supper between the pair, where Joe reveals that he knows about James, and Love confirms the fan theory that she killed him. Now, it turns out that she injected a paralytic drug into him, but the dose was far too high. She of course wanted to control him, and it's revealed that she actually drugged Joe too. Through the season, Love had spent a lot of time in the garden, and she managed to grow this agent for herself, meaning that there'd be no paper trail. Now, you might have questions over how she managed to get it into Joe's system, and it's very quick in the scene. Your first thought might be that it's the chicken, but Love also eats it too, so that rules it out. Love says that it's absorbed through the skin, and the only thing that Joe interacts with that Love doesn't is the knife. Now, though she does cut the chicken with it, we can see that she's wearing a glove when this happens, so it wouldn't rub off onto her. Joe grabbing the knife very much seals his fate, and she clearly positioned this in front of him during the meal as bait. After Love leaves, Matthew comes across Joe and discovers the location of his son, and Marianne arrives, which is when Love reveals the big facade to her, including the death of Ryan. She tells her to leave while she still can, and inspired by her being a single mother, Love decides to kill Joe, which is when we get a big twist. It turns out that Joe was well aware of Love's plans, and using elements of Carrie's cocktail, he injected it as a counteraction. It's pretty funny, as these are two people who normally can't think more than 5 seconds ahead when it comes to a murder, but here they're playing 4-dimensional chess. Now, this once more shows the difference between the characters, as Joe measured out a lethal dose, whereas Love didn't, because she wanted to try and make things work to some extent. Love's final words are that they're perfect for each other, but bad for Henry, and that he will find out exactly what his father is. Realizing that he has to protect his son from himself, Joe very much follows in his mother's and the nurse's footsteps, and puts the child on a path where they won't have an abusive influence in their life, puts it in a pie, and stages things to look like Love killed him before ending her own life. Matthew and Theo will somewhat corroborate this, and she becomes more famous than Beck, which is, wow, what a statement. Now, Madre Linda returns to somewhat the way it was before. Theo starts to heal, and Matthew goes back to focusing on his son, with the mystery now somewhat solved. And Sherry and Carrie go on to developing a radical couples therapy technique after escaping the cage. This is because they find one of the keys left inside that Joe and Love put in place in case they ever got trapped there, and it is a nice callback to what's happened in some of the earlier seasons. Now, it turns out that Marianne left the city too, and much like Joe, she managed to escape marriage. We catch him going under the name Nick in Paris, which may be a reference to Dr. Nicky, who he of course framed in the first season. Paris is of course the city of love, Marianne is a French name, and it's very much a new beginning. I actually believe that the character will continue on his quest to find Marianne, as we see someone enter the cafe in Paris that looks a lot like her. Whereas every season so far has ended with Joe being besotted over a new woman, here things are different as he doesn't become obsessed over this new figure and he travels out into Paris on his own.
Yeah.
This is very symbolic as Joe is now back by himself again in a new city after successfully evading his past once more. Whether he catches up to Marianne remains to be seen, but personally I think that he'll end up becoming obsessed with someone new and then he'll end up crossing paths with her once more. I'd actually love to get somewhat of a time jump at some point and see him come face to face with his son, which would finally make him realise that he needs to take some responsibility. There's also potential that he has another half-brother floating around out there, as his mother is clearly looking after another child. Not sure exactly what's going on in this scene, but something seems to be happening that could hint towards the future, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on it below.
Alright guys, let me tell you what I think about the movie, since this is over. I want to get into what I think about it. I really am not fond of really talking so much when it comes to the video is playing and when we're trying to watch it. I put my little 2 cents in, but I try to make it short. And I don't like pausing or anything like that because I just want to watch it with you guys all the way through and then I can talk as much as I want at the end. But when it came to this season, I think I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 as well. I agree with him on that score. It was, with season 1 and season 2, it was kind of a... Season 1 was something that we never seen before, just like he said. We never seen nothing like that in our life. And it was very new to us, very fresh, and it did not disappoint at all. So season 1 will always be the top rank when it comes to the seasons. When it comes to season 2, it like he said, it gave us the same feel as season 1, but it was a twist at the end, which made us want more out of season 3. Like, oh my God, what is gonna happen? Oh my God, how is this gonna play out? You get what I'm saying? So it gave us more anticipation. And then when season 3 came out, it started off like we got some action. It was like, it was in the middle of, we got action, but then it was slow at the same time, if that makes sense. Like it was slow, but it was giving us little action like here and there. You get what I'm saying? It was still interesting though, but I will rank it as the order it was in, which is season 1 as number 1, season 2 as number 2, and then season 3 as 3. You get what I'm saying? I did not know that they are doing a season 4. I didn't know it got approved for a season 4. So I am kind of geeked about seeing what they're gonna bring to season 4 since Love is out of the picture. Beck, of course, she's been out of the picture since season 1. So I want to know exactly what they're going to bring to the table. I believe that they're going to get into him finding Marianne, and he'll probably, like he said, he's probably going to, be obsessed with somebody else along the way. And I'm surprised. I'm kind of excited on what they're going to do with season 4. I am. That's the only thing that I know that they can go off of is Marianne and him probably falling in love with someone else as he's finding Marianne. He's probably going to forget all about Marianne. This one girl that he's going to be obsessed over is going to have his full invited attention. Okay, and then Marianne is going to pop up again later on and he's going to have to explain everything that happened and everything that Love told her. Because I believe that, I don't know if she's seen the news, I don't know if she's seen the articles, when he typed up Love's death note. I don't know if she's seen that. So if she haven't seen that, he's gonna have to convince her that Love was crazy this whole time, which I think he would be, because I think he'll just pull up the article and whatever, but he's gonna have to convince her if she doesn't know. You get what I'm saying? Because what Love told her was damage control. That's all I'll say. What Love told her was it. This season, it didn't disappoint, but it did go off a little bit slower to me. I don't know why it was a little bit slower to me. I don't know why, but it's still filled in with action scenes and everything like that. So it was still a good season. It was still a good season. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. And leave a comment down below and let me know if you are ready for season 4. What do you think season 4 is going to bring to the table? What do you think they're going to base off the story on? Since the Love story is dead and gone. She's gone. She's deceased. Unless they find a way to bring her back. And and get revenge. Hey, that could be another storyline for season 4 too. You never know. But yeah, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think season 4 is going to be about. How did you like this season? If you don't give this season an 8.5 out of 10, what do you rate this season? How good do you think this season is? So give me your rates on this season as well in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in the next reaction video. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and I will see you soon. Peace.